Derrick Jaxn is back with the post that reads, "Going on a date, kind of nervous." You know, this just randomly popped up. And I was thinking to myself, the fact that Derrick Jaxn still averages hundreds of thousands of views per video lets you know everything you need to know about just how forgiving modern women are. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be here, right? Because people deserve second chances. They really do. Just how forgiving modern women are when you pander. So I guess he's back dating. Here you have top comment here says, "Let's normalize people growing and changing." Somebody else here added, "I guarantee you're not nervous." Somebody else who says, "Go baby, it's time to follow your own advice." Here's somebody else who says, "This time, make sure it's someone that you actually feel aligned with," so on and so forth. And then I was like, man, is he still creating content? Lo and behold, here he is. You know, these videos are doing some numbers. I'm talking like 200, 500,000 views per video. A little bit of time, and that following, you know, is coming up. You know, I think that's an American thing, though, at the end of the day. You know, people love a comeback story. But the question I had overall is, hey, maybe there's some coffee here that's being served, and it's not the same type of content. I don't know. Let's find out.
Hey, bro, what she doing and who she with is none of your business after you had your chance and fumbled her. Because it was all good when you were getting away with murder in y'all relationship. But now that she's free, you want to police her every move?
It looks like not much has changed. And getting away with murder, that theory a lot of people had when they said that when he used to give advice, he was talking to himself. Makes a lot of sense. Because I hear getting away with murder, I'm like, getting away with murder? What type of relationships are we talking about here? And I remember his wife, ex-wife, said he cheated with over 100 women in their marriage. So I'm like, okay, he's talking about how he was getting away with murdering that cat that wasn't his wife at the time. And from that perspective, I understand.
Stop it. And don't say, oh, I just miss her. No, you don't. You just mad because she went from begging for your attention to ignoring your whole existence. But don't leave out the part where you left her messages on red for days, just to now be stalking her social media every hour. And she used to worship the ground that you walked on until she walked away despite you pleading to do anything you could to reestablish common ground with her. And I don't want to hear that whole, well, I'm just trying to warn her about these guys out here that just want sex from her. They don't really value her. They ain't going to commit. Because that's just your way of trying to gatekeep her now that she's single, despite you acting single the entire time y'all was in a relationship. You ain't slick. Matter of fact, the same way you wasn't worried about how you had her chest hurting from how deeply you stabbed her in the back before, that's the same way you don't need to be worried about the man who might be making her stomach hurt from how deeply he's hitting it from the back now.
What? Hey, this is a different Derrick Jaxn. I take it back. He's more graphic, and it looks like the material is more rated R. Let's hear that one more time.
Back before, that's the same way you don't need to be worried about the man who might be making her stomach hurt from how deeply he's hitting it from the back now. Allegedly. Yeah, be strong. The same way you made her be. Because this whole post-breakup surveillance isn't sincerity. It's insecurity with binoculars, which you wouldn't need if you had only opened your eyes the first time and saw you.
I guarantee you guys, he's using ChatGPT to come up with these talking points. I just know it.
Had the password to her heart, but you let your ego hack your common sense. And now she's revoked your access for good because you tried one too many times to play in her face. So when you doing all of that stalking and it looked like she going on dates and getting spoiled with gifts and trips from another man, don't look for reasons to insert yourself. Look the other way because you couldn't see what you had when you had it. But staring at it being better off without you is only going to make your karma more miserable.
All right. Wow. Let's see. Are they eating it up? Let's see. I approve this message. Oh, yes. You couldn't have said it any better. Thank you for standing for women. Like taking candy from a baby. Somebody else who says that part, all of it. Here's somebody else that says, thank you for standing up for women. Here's somebody else that says, I adore this man, keeping it real. Preach, brother. Here's somebody else who says, I wish I could send this to him. Just leave me alone, bro. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Let's see. Might be coffee in this one.
A healed woman no longer explains what she deserves. She just recognizes and then stops entertaining what doesn't deserve her. Now, this typically gets misconstrued as her not wanting to work through tough times, but she don't mind working through things. Like, she's not leaving when it gets difficult. She's leaving when it gets disrespectful. So she's not giving up on you. She's just finally believing what you've been showing her. Like, she used to write you long paragraphs about what you did wrong. Now she's writing you off because you should have known better. And she ain't sending PowerPoint presentations and podcasts about how you ain't making her a priority. She's sending you the voicemail because now peace is her priority. And you can call her bitter, closed off, cold-hearted, but the problem is you thought her standards were up for discussion, and she's showing you they're up for demonstration.
He's good. He's good. I can only imagine the prompts he's using because you could tell he's reading right there. Logs into ChatGPT, how to trick women into being forever single forever. Sure, say this.
Not to say that communication doesn't matter, because of course it does, but when you showed her that her words were falling on deaf ears, her actions became the sign language that you could no longer tune out, because you didn't lack understanding, you lacked intention. And it's nice if you eventually got it together, but there is a such thing as too little too late. So you got to be careful who you procrastinate with, because that same apology that would have saved you last year won't even get you a text message response after she's mentally checked out. Because a woman can go from loving you so deeply to leaving you indefinitely, all because you wanted to act like you were the prize and she was just one of your contestants. So if you want to take that gamble, it's your choice. But just know, a good woman's evolution from long explanations to immediate elimination is undefeated. Because at that point, she becomes okay with losing anybody she gotta lose, so long as she never loses herself again. And you are no exception.
At this point, let this man get his money. Let this man get his money. Top comment here reads, my heart goes out to the women that don't get to this point. Somebody else here says, guys, these are from this month. Somebody else here says they are so surprised when they get dismissed. There's another person says, never gonna lose myself again for any guy. That's a lie. Here's another person who added, peace is definitely my priority. Here's somebody else who says, thank you. Best explanation ever. It's like, nailed it. Nailed it. I mean, just check out these titles. These titles are crazy. No man plays the victim better than the one who caused the damage.
And no man plays the victim better than the one who caused the damage. He'll dysregulate your central nervous system and then claim you always disturbing his peace, leaving out the part where he's the reason why you no longer have any of your own. He'll break your trust and then get mad that you always bringing up the past, when really you're bringing up his present day patterns that trigger the memories of the pain he caused. Or he'll say that you always got bad energy. Meanwhile, draining your energy with every invalidation in this exhaustive environment that he's cultivated by making you walk on eggshells. Or
the problem with, I think, with Derrick Jaxn was he never says, I know these things because I do these things, or I did these things. I think even if there was an ounce of accountability that wasn't being forced out because people were finally realizing that, hey, this man is a fraud, they would have maybe given him some leniency. But now most people understand he knows all this. At least most people who are in their right minds understand he knows all this because he is that or was that, right? We're giving him the benefit of the doubt here. I know people are like, man, he's still the same. I hope he's changed. I hope he does, do better.
With every invalidation in this exhaustive environment that he's cultivated by making you walk on eggshells. Or he'll break your heart into 1,000 pieces, then consider himself a changed man because he's trying to help you pick them up and glue them back together. But then cry if he cuts his hands on the shards of your resentment that you now feel towards him. And it's not to say that he doesn't feel discomfort lying in the bed that he made, but trying to reframe this whole thing as mutual wounding is just a manipulative tactic to manufacture injury to escape responsibility. Like, yeah, it's possible that you had a bad attitude or you could have given him more attention, but last time I checked, neither of those are a gun to his head that forced him to dishonor his own commitment. And whatever needs he's claiming that you didn't meet that led to his decision, it's going to be impossible to meet now that he's broken you. It's
crazy. A few more comments here. Yes, narcissists or champs in that. Somebody else here says, you spoke the whole truth. Another person who says, do you know my ex? Here's somebody else that says, and then they have the audacity to call you insecure, anxious, jealous, LOL. Here's somebody else that says, I've never heard anything more accurate. Wow. 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 Of course, guys, curious to know what you think. Comment down below. Moving on.